And good morning and welcome to Touchbase Daily. My name is Ron Fawcett. I'm touching base with you as I always do. And my partner in crime, Mr. Chris Edwards, is in the building. What's
Good
going
morning,
on?
sir. How you doing today?
Oh, how am I doing this? I'm
I know
doing
that's a
good.
loaded question.
Oh, that was a loaded question. I am going through some interesting things this morning. One is my blood work came back, and so I had my doctor's appointment yesterday. I got vaccinations yesterday. My arms are killing me, and I had the flu vax, so I was out for the count last night. Shingles vaccination because I'm getting old.
Hey, we're all
And
going there.
as they said, and you had the chicken pox, and the chicken pox has you. It lives within your body. So you got to have the shingles
Yeah.
once you get past 50. And so I said, well, as you get older, you need it more and more. So I remember one of my friends, one of my coworkers, she got shingles and she
Painful.
almost lost her sight because it had affected her whole face and down her neck. And it just happens when your immune system gets weak, it snaps, it gets in there. So it's a regiment. Getting older is not for the faint in heart. It is not for the weak. I tell you, it is not.
It is not.
It is not. So yep, that's about it. He said my voice is just a little bit of laryngitis from I had a problem. He said I probably had a cold, and that's how it affected my vocal cords. So he says that's it'll go away over time. And so that's it. So life is wonderful.
Hey, listen, no one ages in reverse, so we all got to go through it. And you know what? At
Yes.
least you can say, "Thank God, I'm alive to experience it."
And you know what? That's my thinking also. It's like, there's so many people that are not here. And there are so many people that are here with with more worse conditions.
Yeah.
So I
All the stuff that you're
am,
going through is treatable, and it's regular stuff. So
yes. So
listen, I'll be there soon enough.
I said, so my doctor was for those out there. Let me just say hello to everyone before we get started. And Chris is in the building. She is number one. Good
Come
morning,
on,
Chris
Gold
R.
Star.
She's in the building. And Amparo is number two with the silver. Good. She says, Grand Rising RLP family. And we have the lady, the awesome GR Houston Jack. She's in the building and she's also backstage right now. And she says, good morning. We got Brian in the building. Brian Young Creatives. Happy Friday, fam, he says. And Jazzy's in the building. She says, good morning, beautiful humans with those beautiful roses. And then our wonderful Bryson. I got to take a drink every time I go for Bryson. Okay, Mr. Bryson. What's up, Ron? What's up, Chris? What's up, RLP fam? What's up, CQ fam? Happy Jennifer Hudson Friday, aka pre-Christmas Eve Friday, and Blue Bloods Friday.
What's the pre-Christmas Eve Friday?
I don't know what that is. Hey, would you care to expound upon that, Bryson?
And then
What
also the
is
Jennifer Hudson Friday. Is she dropping another? Is she dropping? I think she's dropping an album. Actually, I think that's
Jennifer
what that's
Hudson
for.
Friday,
I
aka
think.
pre-Christmas
Yeah.
Eve?
Oh, you know what?
The
I
Christmas
think she's
album.
dropping it's a Christmas album. That's what it
That's what it
is.
is. It says
Yeah.
pre-Christmas Eve Friday.
Yeah, it's a Christmas album she's dropping.
So
Okay, we figured it out.
Yeah, we figured it out. Thank you, Bryson. Thank you. He always gives us everything entertainment. What's going on? I see all the love. Hey, Elise is in the building. She is also in the backstage area. Elise is in there. She says, good morning, everyone. And we have Warren in the building. He says, good morning, fam. Okay, there we are. We are all here, and there'll be more coming in as we continue. So let me bring my ladies on. What's going on, Gwendolyn? What's going on,
man.
Elise?
Good morning.
What's going on, y'all?
You know, I was watching some TV yesterday, and I said I am going to wear my just a black woman in her bag shirt today, so people don't have to fool around and find out. Oh yes.
Kamala was in her bag last night.
Yes, and I was here for it. All of it.
Kamala was in her bag last night.
Yes.
Man,
we can start with that.
I was like, yo, Kamala is no joke. She is
Listen,
no
what
joke.
did I say yesterday? Don't come for her unless she asks for it.
I'm gonna set up that video. It's so
let's start with that.
It's so funny.
Start with that. Good morning.
Ronald and I were cooking dinner last night, and it came on. And listen, we had the best laugh ever, and we just kept replaying it because it was like, girl was giving shade. She gave shade of the century.
I mean, it was classic. It was so good. Anyway, here it is. Our wonderful Kamala.
Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street.
Oh, the timing was perfect, like an amazing stand-up comment.
Masterclass.
Yeah.
Oh,
one more time.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street.
So good. So good. It's so good.
Oh my God.
Okay, let me stop sharing. That was hilarious.
Yeah, you gonna find out how black she is.
Oh, now let me.
There you go, Elise.
Now,
I was like, both of us would have done it.
I said she brought home black girl magic right there. She just said, "Woof." She took her magic wand and just said, "Woo." I mean, they were hackling her, and she said, "I think y'all had the wrong." When I saw that, I was like, "Oh my God!" I don't know who sent. I know Brian sent it first. I think Brian sent it, and someone else said it. Was like several people sent it to me like at one time.
I posted it immediately in my stories because everyone needs to see that one.
It was hilarious. It was priceless, and it was. People are also talking about Fox. Her Fox interview, and how there's such a blowback on Fox because of how they treated her.
And how they edited.
They said many women could identify with being spoken over in their jobs, not being taken seriously, not given room to speak and share their ideas and thoughts. And they said it had a negative blow. Also, but the Kamala Harris camp is excited. And you know why? Because that interview reached between 7.1 and 8.2 million views.
It got great ratings, I read. Great ratings.
It got great ratings. And people that would have never seen her on Fox. And like I said yesterday, even if 1% do something and say, you know what, I'm going to vote for her instead.
Right.
1%.
Right.
You've done your job.
And I saw a clip. It's like, you know how I am. I wake up slowly in the morning. But I saw a clip where he's now apologizing for the mistake.
Yes, but they had to wait. He apologized at the very end of his show.
That's what I'm saying. But now we want to apologize. No, just admit.
But he knew what he was doing.
It was intentional. They did it on purpose.
They did it on purpose. He knew what he was doing.
She did the what you're not gonna do.
Yes.
And came back for him. I think that's what people don't learn about.
She's all right. I'm offend some people, but that's okay. She is gathering these white people. Okay.
Yes.
She's telling them, listen, do not try me because I will come for you.
Look, she's
She
teaching
is
them how shade works and what it means to read somebody.
yes.
What you
Thank-
mean to read
Yes.
somebody.
That was a good reading. Yesterday was
She
she
read
showed
them.
shade and she showed a good reading. And then they said also the interview with Trump and Woods. I think her last name is Woods. Fort
Uh-huh.
Woods, or where her name is,
Trash.
on Fox.
Yes, Lord.
I don't like her at all. But
Say it again,
anyway,
Chris.
that's another story. But they said that interview with Trump only got 3 million views. There were only 3 million people watching, but Kamala got 7 to 8
His
million.
crowd sizes continue to be small.
They're shrinking, and people are really beginning to wake up and say something's wrong with him.
Yeah, and I think
There's
Yes,
some
something's wrong with him.
we've always known his
He's known it.
mental, but there's
Did you
something
see him last
wrong.
night
He looked
at the Harris
horrible.
AI Smith dinner?
Horrible.
Horrific. Horrific.
And his painters his face painters are losing their minds too.
Somebody
because
hates him. Somebody hates him.
his orange paint job is getting worse by the weeks.
it's not even like that orange anymore. It's kind
No,
of
No.
and then it's peeling.
It's like they
It's
spraying it
on-
on and put
It's
the
rusty.
lining around here and they just take it off.
Yeah.
Something's going on. Something
He seems
is
like
going
someone's old
on.
grandfather that has dementia that doesn't know where they're at, and they're just talking wildly.
I'm look. Let me tell you. After like I said, I've dealt with my mother. I'm dealing with my mother's dementia, and now I'm thinking back where her neighbor told me, says, Ron, this was happening here, and she kind of like pointed some things here. She says, Ron, this started years ago, and this is what happened. I said, she remember when she kept doing this, when she kept repeating things, she kept repeating this. She couldn't get these thoughts out of her mind. She kept saying over and over again.
Over and over again.
And
That's
she
a
just
clear
sitting-
sign.
My mother,
Yeah.
not
My mother was
talk
like
bad about my
that
mom,
too.
but
Listen to me.
she would say something about the Chinese all the time. Her biggest fear in the world were the Chinese people. And I said, what happened was somehow she got into this loop because she listens to Christian radio. And that's another story from another hour. But she listens to Christian radio, and there was some bigotry kind of things going on that network. However, parts of it stayed in her head, and she could not get it out. It was no matter what we talked about. I said, Mom, that's racist. You can't say that. That's racist. She goes,
Well, they don't realize
but the
it.
Chinese are taking my money. The Chinese are taking my money. And I was like, Mom, the Chinese are not taking your money.
Chinese not taking your money.
Chinese are not taking your money. I said, you are fine. You are fine. No one's gone into your bank account. But she kept every week, the Chinese are taking my money. The Chinese are taking my money. And those were signs of the dementia back then that I did not recognize.
Right.
That's the one thing for those
Trump is going through there.
Yeah, we all see the signs because my grandmother had dementia for quite some time, and that was one of the things that we just had to deal with. It's very hard in the very beginning when someone's going through it because they'll go there, you'll have a conversation with them, and then literally like 30 seconds later, you're having the same conversation. So over the span of like 5 minutes, you have the same conversation. It's frustrating.
They also
and
become
it's sad.
obsessed. There's certain thoughts
and
that
money
they
tends to
become
be
obsessed with.
Money tends to be the thing that they become obsessed about. My grandmother was obsessed with money and hiding it in her house, and that people were coming in to take it. And we're like, no, you don't have any money here. No one's, and so she would like tear up the house looking for it. So like when I see that orange man, that is a clear sign that there is some sense of dementia going on there.
It is,
Yeah,
and I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor, but I'm living it. I'm living.
You don't have to be a doctor. When you have that lived experience, you know the signs and you can see them.
That's true.
There have been some doctors who have said it out loud, though. There
have been doctors
who
that
have
say
said it out loud. That's there. And my mother, her stages of dementia, I knew she was going through it because she would say things or out of the blue, you'd hear something like, "What is that?" and you'd try to ask her about it, and she'd get frustrated because she couldn't explain it.
Yeah.
And then it just took a turn and was around 2008. We had.
Trump last night he posted on his Truth social, which is always ironic to me when you call his platform anything Truth. It's so ironic. It's like the most ironic title for anything Trump.
Why social?
And he goes off. He can't get Trump out. I mean, he can't get Biden out of his mind. He wrote in big caps all like 2:00 in the morning about Biden. Kamala needs to be sued and arrested because she stole the election from Biden, the primary from Biden, and blah blah blah. And he keep going on and on. And so it had the clippings earlier today, and. But notice every week he does this Biden thing, this obsession that he should be running against Biden.
It's crazy.
That's the problem. He figured he knew how to handle him. He doesn't know what to do with her.
They don't know. He want him to drop out.
He is in bad shape. They said he also not only he continues to cancel interviews. He canceled another interview, I think, this week with NBC and a couple of other interviews. Again, what we saw at the rally this week, where he was supposed to be doing a town hall, doing a Q&A, and out of nowhere, he just says, let's just play music.
Right. And he was on that Fox Today show that you all circulated that clip. But, that's the people he could sit with and agree with the crazy.
Yes. And they said the women that were in that audience weren't too tuned. They weren't too okay. They weren't as so embracive of him as he likes to think.
Well, that's the other thing too now. Like the people that are coming to his rallies and like that town hall where it was supposed to be a town hall with everyone, all inclusive, but it was really of people that are for him. But then these people were asking questions. Like the one Spanish native was like, I was with you, but then after January 6th, I kind of fell off with you. But what can you do to bring me back? This and that. He was just talking about how it was,
crazy.
Peaceful transfer of power, and everyone did this.
Faces. Their faces.
Like, really, there's a meme of everyone just doing this. Like
everyone's like,
right.
Well, he called it a day of love. January 6th was a day of love. Seriously?
Yes, a day of
really?
love.
I would love to see what hatred looks like.
Look, let me know if it's coming to DC so I can really leave.
I know, right?
That was love. I'm going. I don't in town when the hate comes.
Oh my God, he is unraveling. They don't want to admit it. He is falling. He's. I think he's going to fall apart in the next week. He's spiraling out of control.
That was a Univision.
Right. Yes.
Yep. There it is. Jazzy said the Univision.
They asked some great questions that he couldn't answer, but he couldn't
answer.
A lot of his things are actually crazy to watch. It's like cringeworthy. Like the whole the Harris AI Al Smith thing. It was actually very disturbing to watch because it's like it's not even that he's rambling. He's mixing up people and he's calling people different names and the jokes aren't funny and no one's laughing and he's just like, oh well, maybe it's really bad. It's hard to watch because it's just like you don't like him, but even though that you don't like him, it's just uncomfortable to watch someone falter like that. It's uncomfortable.
The other thing is that they were talking about the when he did the economy. For those that we didn't talk about it yesterday, but we just skimmed across it. His Bloomberg economic interview, and every single question that they asked, he could not answer. He kept diversing, and then he says, "Oh no, I'm just doing the weave." And so that's their new thing is when he can't answer questions, he's doing the weave. But something Gwendolyn and I were talking because that evening, I get the information on the stock market all the time, and his stock took a plunge after that video, after that interview. Plunge.
I bet it is.
Because he doesn't know what he's talking about.
They had to do stop. They had to stop trading on his stock because it fell so fast.
It's falling.
And then his other thing is to insult the interviewer. I mean, how he doesn't know what he's doing. You've been bad. You're always wrong. Like, sir, stop. Just stop.
It was horrible.
Yeah. How is everyone around you awful and you're like this saint? Stop.
But you hear something that was really interesting that happened in London.
Now I can see you.
You know what happened in London? London, they had an event yesterday. KDK from she's a journalist, British journalist. She lives here in America, but she's also on Morning Joe. And what's his name? That was in who lived the shortest time in the Trump administration. Coochie, or who? What's his name? Not
I know you're talking
Coochie.
about.
Mooch. The Mooch.
No.
What's his name? I thought it was the Mooch.
No,
I don't know his name.
Something Moochie, right? It's Moochie. I think it's the Mooch.
The Mooch.
Anyway, they were at they had an event in England yesterday. They sold out a 32,000 people arena in London of people that wanted to know about the American election.
Wow.
They were saying they were like, they couldn't believe. She said, "Oh my gosh, only Taylor Swift has sold this place out like this." She was like, "I cannot believe how many British people turned out for this event in England yesterday, in London. 32,000 people came out because they were concerned about the American election."
Anthony Scaramucci.
It is Scaramucci, right? I knew it was a mooch. They called him the mooch.
He knew it was a mooch.
I knew he was a mooch.
10 days. 10 days.
Yes.
Yes.
The mooch. The mooch. He served the shortest time in the Trump administration.
But you know what happens here on November 5th is critical to the world.
Critical to the world.
Critical to the world because the U.S. has its hand all over the world.
Yes.
So whatever happens here impacts there. And they know it. And they know that if he comes back, it's going to be a negative impact because, of what he's talking about, how he's going to treat our allies.
Yes.
What he wants to do with that, breaking that up, what he wants to do with them. And of course, everything in his head is about $1. Like if they don't pay, my thing is like, can we not fixate on that? And they know what that looks like for them.
Yes. And
so, yes, they're concerned. And of course, they're trying to figure out what's wrong with this big group of Americans who are supporting someone who they see, because they get the clips too.
Yes.
Who is not mentally stable.
Yeah.
People are terrified around the world of what is happening in America, but also the fascination. And this is what's always fascinating to me. I tell people all the time when I travel overseas, young people overseas know everything about America and politics. Thank you, Janet. Janet gave me she typed it out for me so I can put it out there. Anthony Scaramucci. So that's his full name. The mooch. They call him the mooch. So anyway, but this it was really fascinating that again, when I say when you travel around the world, I used to always be fascinated when I was in Nigeria, and I would sit down and just have conversations, and people, when I say kids, they were like in their 20s. They knew so much about politics in America. They knew what was happening in the states. They knew what was happening. Governors. They knew what was happening. I was like, it is always amazing to me how people follow what's going on here, and we can't get Americans to know what's going on in their own country.
That part.
Because the world is fascinated right now. How is it possible that the race is so close in America when one of the candidates is a criminal, a convicted rapist, a convicted felon, a convicted con man, a convicted, been impeached. I mean, the list goes on, and yet these people in this country who love this man, they continue to love him.
It's a sickness. It's like, listen, you know what it is like? It's like COVID. It's a spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
Literally.
It is a cult.
Yeah.
It is.
It's a cult.
Is a cult. I mean, isn't it something similar that you think about how many people died during our COVID crisis in America?
Because of
And
him.
people watched people die,
Mhm.
and they still know that this guy mismanaged the whole thing. This was a life and death, pandemic. America lost more than 1 million lives. I mean,
And now we're
and yet
finding out.
they want to go back to him.
Yeah, and now we're finding out that he was actually, when we couldn't get COVID tests, he was shipping them over to Russia.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Janice says, Jimmy Carter said, no one over 80 should be running for president of the U.S. I agree.
At this point, no one over 75.
Look, I'm like, I'm
75
almost
over
at the place with saying 72.
I
mean,
was like,
look,
I tried to say 70, but I was like, let me give people a break. But
well, you know why? Because other countries, other newer democracies,
Mhm.
they have created their democracies in such a way that they keep bringing in new blood, new people. They don't want to be stagnated. Most other countries, new democracies, do not have a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court.
And this one shouldn't either.
And this one shouldn't either. Most democracies have seen the failure of the United States and said, we will not do it here. So most of, like when you go to South Africa, you have a term. You're only there for a term.
Right.
And they keep rotating people out. And they got layers to their Supreme Court.
Look, I know. Look, I was that way as a parent, and I was advising on the advisory board for the superintendent. This is before I started working. And I said, let me tell you something. You all keep giving these principles years and years. I said, my child has 1 year to go through one grade. We convinced her that principals have 1 year to prove themselves. If they don't prove that they can run a school in a year, you can be gone. And then they're like, oh, 3 years. Now, I don't care what you say. 3 years is a long time to mess up children's lives. And so we don't think about it that way. So think about if it was a lifetime.
A lifetime.
That's a whole entire.
We still dealing with the foolishness of Clarence Thomas.
But the fact that no one can say it, some of those lower courts, people can say some. Those other courts, federal, even the federal ones, you can say something. But that Supreme Court, only they can decide to recuse themselves.
Yes.
No, the Chief Justice can't say anything. No one, and so he never steps back, even though he and his wife have both benefited financially from the decisions that he makes. And as they said, if you arresting the mayor of New York, and we got a council member here that's been indicted. If you're indicting all these people for what he is doing all the time, taking for over $4 million, and what really adds up to be bribes, he should also be indicted.
Yes.
Because that's a crime.
So that's what's going on. This is something I want you guys to hear. I think Donnie Deutsch. Hold on a second. Is it Caddy? Let me see. Let me just show you which ones I want to get you here tuning in. So, okay, here we go. Let me just get this one here. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Let me pop this here. Pause. And I want you guys to give me some feedback on this and what you think. And here we go. This is from Morning Joe. And
the past. They won't. He turns on everybody. Republicans, Trumpers voting, can't call them Republicans really, for Donald Trump are voting against themselves because their freedoms too in this country will be taken away. He will be taking away the freedoms of the American people, something he's threatening to do to political adversaries. That could be anybody he doesn't like. That could be a show he doesn't like. That could be something said at a baseball game that he doesn't like. Does that sound crazy? Oh, she's crazy. She's overreacting. Hold on. No, hold on. Let me just bring it back to reality. It's not an overreaction. It's actually what he's saying. You can talk about what he's saying, or you can look at what he's saying. And I am imploring the American public to listen to what he's saying, because he's already done this. He's already taken away freedoms. And if I sound repetitive, that's okay. I'm hoping it'll break through. He's taken away 50 years of freedoms for women in this country. That's already happened. Women's access to life-saving health care is gone under Donald Trump and his strict abortion bans. And women have been bleeding out. They've been sterilized. They've been forced to suffer and even die because of the freedoms that Donald Trump has taken away from women in America.
So, I mean, again, I know we talk about this often about women's health and so, I mean, I'm still trying to as much as I look at politics, and I look at politics every day, I look at it too much in a lot of cases. But I go like this. I say, I am still trying to figure out the women that are for this for themselves. Like, what is going on in their heads that think this is okay for them when they have daughters, they have nieces, they have, I don't know. I just, it blows me away in the, I just wanted to say, what do you guys, I guess this is better for Gwendolyn and Elise. I mean, do y'all know any women? Do you know any women?
Say that again.
You want to go first, Mr. Lees?
I was asking, Rhonda, what was your last question? You just
I was like, do you guys know any women in your circles that are okay with losing rights?
Not in my circle. If they were not in there anymore. But I never knew any like that, because I think that the point that there are a couple of things, right? And one, I'm going to share this real quick thing. I saw a quick clip yesterday, I think, of this 81-year-old white woman who was voting for the first time. She'll be 82. Her daughter was taking her to vote for the first time because her husband had died. And while he was alive, he did not want her to vote. So some of these women really are afraid of what their husbands are going to say. And they've asked the question of people, can my husband find out how I voted?
Yes, that was a big question on the.
And then some of it is not having a full understanding. See, when the media and everyone fixates on only the abortion part, that word, people see a certain picture. Whereas that's why I told you all, I refer to it as women reproductive health care.
Healthcare, yes.
And I have a young couple next door. The wife they have 3 kids, but since I've known them in that short few years, she's had 2 miscarriages. And what people don't understand, and I was explaining to them, I said, the medication or the treatment that you had to receive after you had those miscarriages are considered what happens in abortion. The medication they gave you, all of that is a part of what people consider abortion. However, you didn't have an abortion, you had a miscarriage, and the aftercare. The part that women are bleeding out for now is that treatment that they need after that happens. And so doctors are denying them that treatment or afraid to do that treatment. So therefore you have women bleeding out and dying and getting sepsis because of that care. And most people don't understand that care is about a lot of things, and so we don't, until we address it and understand the totality of the picture. And I think Harris does talk about it, and having those women come on and who wanted children and told their stories and told that story that I wanted to have more children, but ended up having to have a hysterectomy because the doctor was afraid to treat me properly. And I think that's the part that people don't think about. And when we have our daughters, our granddaughters, and women that are yet to come into that phase of having those things, they're simple treatments. At the age of 14, I had an ovarian cyst. Of course, I had a doctor who said, "Hey, you're too young to have a surgery, so I'm gonna give you these birth control pills." And that's another thing. That contraception wasn't given to me because I was sexually active. It was given to me as a life-saving treatment
Yes.
because I was so young, and thank God it worked. But
Yeah.
think about the people. So they're not just coming, and what most women don't understand, they're not just talking about simple abortion. They're talking about things that impact women's reproductive health care, and they're also going to come after contraception.
Yes.
And so
That's the next thing
I don't
on the
think
list.
people understand that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I get
You're on mute, Chris.
Good, Chris. You're muted.
Sorry, Gwendolyn. Before
There
you
you
go,
go.
I want to. Can you put back Rosemary's comment back up? Because I think she said she pointed to something really poignant.
Rosemary. Okay. Yeah, I know. Let me go back to Rosemary.
I'm waiting to. Her comment was, "I'm waiting to hear the story of one of these backward politicians whose daughter has faces one of these dangerous procedures." Let me tell you something. That's one thing they won't ever have to worry about because they'll find a way to go get their child the reproductive care that they're going to need, and be damned to anyone else.
So being older in America, what they used to call it, what they used to say is they had a DNC, which is the scraping of the uterus, which was their form of abortion. So they could get that legally in doctors' offices, where Black women were in back alleys and using hangers with erasers and whatever else. But they call it's a procedure. It's still a medical procedure that's out there called the DNC.
The DNC.
DNC. So they would scrape it out. And that's what they would get. And I learned that from my mother.
Wow.
So you know how long ago that's what they were doing when it was illegal.
Yes.
That's how they would get into treatment. So Chris is absolutely right. Their daughters aren't going to have that because they're going to have access to doctors who will do whatever they want to do and not even report it as she was pregnant.
Oh, it's D and
DNC. DNC.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you, Adrian.
Here's
this is why it's so it's beautiful to have the ladies on board as well, because you learn so, and this is why it blows my mind that men think they can make these decisions. How does a guy think he can pass laws on women's health? First of all, he's not even a doctor, but there's so many things that go on with women and their health. I mean, the changes, all the stuff that happens. You need to be a professional to be able to help with those decisions. Or I don't understand. Men could never make those decisions unless they or say anything about what women are going through, unless they are doctors. And male doctors are only giving you their idea based on what women are telling them. You can't. A man will never be the woman.
Thank Amparo for putting in.
So here's my thought on this. Two things.
Hey, Gwendolyn. Uterus that shed their linings monthly, and the fertilized eggs that become babies attached to those linings. That way, no menstrual cycles during pregnancy. Wow. Okay. Thank you, FRR. Go ahead, Gwen.
Frozen?
No, Gwen, are you there?
No, am I frozen? I was waiting. Okay. So here's my thought. Here's my thought on that.
I said, is she frozen?
And I've shared this with Ron before. Nope, I'm not frozen. Part of it is, in my opinion, there could be a small part of jealousy, because there are people who are born into a certain way of life. And so from the onset, their idea of being free is just not there. They come out as a caged bird. And then you see other people who are experiencing life that they may not ever have. And for that, if I have to suffer, then you also have to suffer. That's why you can find women who don't believe that we should be paid the same amount as a man. You have women who are gung-ho pushing these policies, even if they are part of a family that is privileged. And if they had to get it, they could. Like Melania, who says that women should have the right to choose for their body, and 45 says, oh yeah, if she wants to do it, she is free to do it. She can do it. She's free to do it. So there's the second point. Women were seen as property. Women were seen as property, seen, not heard. You come in, you do what you have to do, you call the day. Now, Black women were seen as an ends to a mean to produce more product. So there is never a concern about care. It's a matter of, can we push out another human being to do X, Y, Z? Which is why you have guys who feel as if they can tell you what should happen to your body and so on and so forth. We understand. I hope we understand. Like, we are still second-class citizens. Like, I don't think people know that that hasn't changed for us. We do have what freedoms we have, slowly losing them, but we are not on the same plane. Not yet. Not yet. Now, my story is somewhat similar to Mr. Lee's, and I know I've told you about this, Ron. I'll be sharing it this afternoon as well. But when people talk about, as you say, abortion, they only think of terming life. And the fact of the matter is, it is reproductive health care. Women have some really jacked up, and I'm gonna say we got some jacked up shit going on in here. This is not like an easy, we are definitely not one size fits all. There is a whole bunch of something going on. My life was pretty good until the doctor took me off of birth control because of my age, and shit's going down now, right? It has changed over here. But people only talk about the terming of life. They don't think about all the other stuff that goes on inside. And it is not one size fits all. Just because you were able to carry a baby, that's great. As I was telling Ron, I am a sickle cell carrier. I have the traits. I don't have sickle cell. Right? I found the first lump when I was 17, had a breast biopsy during my winter break. We've had all kinds of BS in here. I started collecting hospital tags. Right? So people don't get the idea that when we say reproductive health care, it's for all the things inside, for all of it. And when you take away one, you are impacting something that you didn't even know about. So personally, I think men should take all the stadium seats, and the women who believe that, you take some seats too. And let us who want to live and do stuff, do what we do.
Right. And Amparo must have been reading my mind. She mentioned endometriosis.
Yes, she did.
Because those women had the treatment that they have to go through for their endometriosis is necessary. You don't want doctors afraid to do any type of treatment for women, which is where it would head to. Everything will be questioned. Everything will let me talk to the lawyer first before that happens while the woman suffers. And I think that's the piece. And in Gwendolyn's comment, the term misery love company came to my mind for those women who are in these oppressive environments and going through it and want someone else to suffer the same thing that they're going through. That's misery loving company. And we don't want to be in the company. I don't want my daughters in your company. I don't want my granddaughters in the company. I don't want my granddaughter or any other female that I know to be like 26,000 women who were forced to have their rapist child. I don't want that to be anyone's story for me. And it's not, but I want us to fully understand it's about women's reproductive health. All of those internal things that need to be treated that will be questioned because someone says she's still childbearing age. So therefore, let's make sure it's not trying to get rid of a child, and everything about us is not about a child. My story was not always about children.
It's about children.
But like you say, it always fascinates me. I don't know about, maybe fascination is not the word. I'm always, it leaves me dumbfounded in a lot of ways of that there are women that fight against other women. I mean, men do it too, on some levels. But the women, you would think that women would, even if you're in church and you have your religious perspective or whatever that case may be, that you would have some kind of compassion.
I'm sorry, I didn't laugh like that.
Women, because you are a woman. I mean, like I said, men should just stay out of it, period. But women, I'm always blown away. But I guess it's the same mindset of like people that watch all those kids get gunned down in Connecticut, but yet they still love guns and won't fight against having guns. It's like something's wrong with us that we as a country we can't see the humanity of the other person. We can't see how this affects the other person in a negative way. And because it hurts that person, I'm going to make adjustments.
Chris. There are women who hate women. There are women who are misogynists, right? So let's not just assume that, women are freely, we have this natural mother mode. Those are lies, and no offense, but religious women, I'm just saying, tend to be the worst.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Listen, a lot of it is self-hate. When you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else, and you can't protect anybody else. And all
Yes.
you're doing is you hurting other people is a projection of you being hurt. That's all what it boils down to.
Right. And
Mm.
it's
It's just like black people who don't like black people. It's like, what happened to you?
right.
What happened to you?
Hurt you.
Seriously.
Right. But Chris, when you said that, it made me think about the poem that I posted that I wrote about being enough. It's us not feeling that we are enough. And that self-doubt, self-hatred that comes in, that impacts us. And that's that we've been groomed and conditioned over time to be that way. Women have been groomed and conditioned over time to be a certain way, just as black people in this country. And as that part, when we start understanding that we are enough the way we are, and that we have the right to be in control of our lives, and no one else has the right to control our lives, especially our bodies or anything else. When we start understanding that, and that's where we have a lot of work to do that, because it's been the white male has been doing it for controlling us through religion, organized religion, and everything else to think a certain way. I'm in a Black Baptist church, but it's like women can't be pastors, and I was like, that's insane. So I was like, I'm the one that's in church challenging people and telling them, look, the reason young people are not in here is because you make them feel that they aren't worthy. And who wants to come to some place where you bash them all the time? I said, my son is a gay child. He loves Jesus, but he doesn't love him because of you. He loves him because his mother told him that you are marvelously made, and you're made the way God intended you to be. And I told the pastor, I said, so that's why you don't have my child here, because you didn't know how to respect my child. And I said, your job is to love people, is not to judge people. And I think that judgment over time has been what has impacted us and made it so easy for a Black man or a Black woman to go after each other.
I agree.
Have that impression why a Black man says, oh, I can't vote.
Come on now.
That let's get past that. You've been groomed and conditioned to do that.
I told Ron the other day, because we
Yes.
had a discussion about women being pastors, and my mother's a minister who had to leave her church in so many ways. They kicked her out. But I was like, who is it for a man to tell somebody else what God has put in them? Like, that's not your spot. Like, that is not your spot. And that should tell, like, in terms of common sense, when things don't make sense, like, you should stop and say, how's that even possible? Like, how is that possible that this mortal man is telling me what God has put inside of me? Somebody has a problem, and it wouldn't be me.
And I always say, people that try to defend that women shouldn't have leadership and women shouldn't do this and women shouldn't have, I said they haven't read their Bible, really, because you think about all of the women, and we had this discussion before, all of the women that led. There was so many women in the Bible that led, and so many women warriors in other countries, not outside the Bible, and that have led their nations and led their tribes and led their women. It's without being mean. I'm getting my brain I'm getting my words together.
The graciousness, I would help you, but I'm not great there. So
I'm right there with you.
My thinking is,
I can't think of any nice words.
Is that
you on your own?
I have a little library back there of religions around the world, and I've had an opportunity to study different religions on a very basic academic level, very basic. And when I look at world history and I look at Christianity and I look at and I'm, like I said, I'm a believer. I'm a born again believer. I love God. But I look at all of the folks that wore Christianity, and they use Christianity as a weapon.
Yes.
And the havoc that they have caused around the globe over the last 500 to 600 years.
Yeah.
In some cases, 1,000 years. And a lot of stuff, a lot of the, I'm just gonna say that a lot of the trash that we believe in today, it wasn't even part of the early church. It was
Yeah.
nowhere. I mean, a lot of stuff is just here over the last 1,000 years. I mean, there's so many years before, 1,000 years before that. And you think about all of what we see of how women are degraded and how this white supremacy, or I could call it white Christian nationalist movement, um, uh, and all these different doctrines of because I sanction it, because I'm a pope. You can now go to any place on the planet and declare it yours in the name of Christianity, which has nothing to do with the Bible, has nothing to do with Christ or anything. But I look at all the trash that we've been taught, and it has done nothing but divided people on so many levels. It has enslaved people. It has divided people. It has done, and people have used, and again, there's a difference between people that are Christians and people that use Christianity as a weapon. So, but Christianity has been used as a weapon. I remember when I was young, my father, my adopted dad, is a pastor. And he says, not everyone sees the cross like you see it. And I was saying it like, whoa, like, what's this about? He says, the cross he goes, think about the Muslims, that when the people from the Great Crusades, which happened over 800 years, the Crusades, they would go into the Middle East and kill people in the name of Jesus. And he said, and they had the cross on their shields, and they had the cross on their garments. He goes, the cross to everyone doesn't mean the same thing. He said, some people fear the cross. Some people are scared. Some people are angry because of the cross. And again, this is because the Christianity has been perverted in so many ways. And even like now, we see with the Trump movement, these people, they believe they are born again. They believe they are believers. They believe they are righteous. They believe in but yet, again, I always have to go back to what I believe in. I like being a red letter Christian.
Red letter.
I like to be a red letter Christian. And what I mean by red letter Christian is that I do believe in the way of Jesus, and when he speaks in those ways, and the love that is shared, and how we should love our neighbor as ourselves, how we should think of the least of them, because that is important, the least of them. Or, when someone walks in the room and they don't have, you give. I mean, all of that is so missing. And you look across at this cult movement of Trump, and these people that are religious leaders like Frank Graham, and all these people that are so far away from the gospel. And I believe in love.
They're racist white supremacists.
They're white supremacists.
This has nothing. Let's forget the Christian part out. They're racist white supremacists. They are the Klan. They are the Proud Boys. They are the skinheads. They are the neo-Nazis. That's who they all are, and that's why they don't talk about them. That's why those groups of people aren't treated as terrorists. Who they are? They're the most, from the FBI. They say they're the most dangerous group of people in America.
Yes,
are the white supremacists, and that's who they are. We're dealing with the most dangerous people in America. And then when you talk about people in churches, what I discovered is a lot of these people are just like the Trump people.
Yeah.
The people now, they don't read anything.
Yes.
They are just regurgitating what they hear. When you hear that somebody, they don't even know what the letters DEI mean.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, like what are the words? They don't know that. They don't even know what the GDP is. They don't know what those letters stand for. They don't know anything because they don't read. And I've met people who want to share Joel Osteen tapes with me and share all that stuff. And I said, well, you know, when I bring up the Bible, and I said, well, you know, over here in First Corinthians, they go, well, I never read that. I said, so you haven't read the Bible?
But they read the books. They read the
They
other
listen
stuff.
to they have time. They're not reading anything. They're listening to what these people are saying.
Yeah.
They're not reading anything. So you talk about how uneducated they are about what's going on in America right now and not listening and reading. That's how uneducated these people are who are sitting in amen and yaying in these churches. And when those pastors the white pastors who have come up and said, hey, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, they want to get rid of the pastor now.
There's a lot of pastors that on the unemployment line across the country because they told their congregation, you need to believe in the gospel and not Trump. And they were like, you got to get you. We want you out. We want Trump. We love Trump.
They'll find other places to go. They'll find other places to go. You know, when that happened to the black people for AME, they just started their own church.
They started their own church.
That's right. Different. But they don't read it. They don't know the Bible.
Yeah, I mean, it's so sad that the abuse, and the reason what brought this to my mind is because this morning I was looking at a story on Carrie Lake in I think it's Arizona, and she wears a cross on her everywhere she goes, and
it's burning through her chest right now.
And she wears a cross everywhere, and the hate that she spews, and the anguish that she has upon women, and all that stuff. And so, as we were having this conversation, I began to think about her, because I was obviously looking at this report, and she's so far she's losing, and it's just, to me, again, man, when will our country ever get back to a place of love?
I believe so.
I do believe people. I think people are so tired of crazy, and I'm hoping. I mean, look, election day is only 2 weeks away.
Right.
Can't get here fast enough.
Get here fast enough.
I'm literally on my knees pressed. Like, Lord, give me all the strength right now. Give me all the strength, Lord. I don't know if I can make it.
And you sit there and you go, man, if we could just get back to the basics and respecting one another. Just respect one another.
Yes. Ron, you know, when you were talking earlier, and I have to laugh because this song keeps coming to my head.
What's that?
That song this song where it says times are truly changing. We're tired of all of this going down. That's all I could think of was that song. All the beers going down. We tired now.
Yeah. It's like, what's her name said, Fanny? She said, I'm tired of being tired.
I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
Can I share some real quick too? And I'm reading the comments, and it's one of those where you see that times are changing. Like a number of people have shared that they have loved ones who are of the LGBTQIA plus community, myself included.
Right.
There is not a place where I'm gonna go somewhere and my kids are not accepted. Absolutely. We're not gonna have that. Absolutely. Right. Now, I know that there are some families who rather push them out. We see, I mean, I hate to call it out, but we see a lot of Black men who feel like their masculinity is challenged if their son or their daughter, primarily their son though, decides or embraces who they were meant to be. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
and that's why,
go ahead, Mr. Lee. You can jump in.
I'm just saying, that's why I'm so grateful for my husband being who he is. Because when I had my son talk to him, I was in Colorado. I said, now go talk to your father. And he talked to his father. My husband was like, okay, so let's talk about how you stay safe.
Right.
Yeah.
He started every article, everything that he got, he made sure his son knew, and he defends his son. And so he's very sensitive if he listened to something in church and they bring up a topic. He said, well, how did it go left? That wasn't even what the sermon was about. How is all of a sudden talking about gay marriages? And I said, well, then you ask the pastor. And I made him ask the minister one day. I stopped the minister. I said, he has a question for you. So why'd you go there? And so we have to push that. We have to protect that. But what I want people to also remember, Jewish people were not the only people in concentration camps.
That's right.
So were the LGBTQ plus community.
So
Don't
were
fool
so were black
yourself to
people.
think that they will not come for them.
Yep.
If this man wins, they're going to come for them. They're going to try to arrest them. They're going to try to put them in what are those camps? The conversion camps.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to try to do everything with our children,
Let me tell you
and we have to
something.
think about it that way, because we are thinking shallow. We are thinking it's only going to be this group. No, they're
Nope.
going to use and come for everything that they say, right? Because that's their mission.
Well, you know what I always say, the taking down of Roe v. Wade was the gate drug, or do you want to call it like the gate drug
Gateway drug.
to get
Gateway
rid
drug.
of every other right, because
Yep.
now they got rid of a right. That's the first time a right has been taken away. So now they have a license and a blueprint to take away all of the other rights. Again,
So can you elaborate a little bit on the right that they took away from Roe v. Wade? It wasn't simply abortion. It was the right to what?
There's
right
all
to
but a
privacy.
list.
It's the right to privacy. You know, now you
Right to
have HIPAA
privacy.
protection.
That's right.
You will not have HIPAA protection.
That's right.
Roe v. Wade was about the right to a woman's privacy.
Yep.
So we need to understand that it was not as simple as they make it sound.
Yes, it was,
because we only talk about that one piece, but it's the right to our medical privacy.
Yep.
And they already talk about wanting to know a woman's cycle, wanting to
yeah.
Well, they've done it. They've done it in some states where there was a list. I forget which state it was where they had a list of the menstruation cycles of these young girls.
Delete that. Any digital where you're using women who are using those digital trackers. Get you a paper calendar and count your days. Stop putting it online where they can now get your information and collect your data, because I know women use that tracker. Do not use those trackers to track your menstrual cycle.
They were so helpful back in the day. They were so helpful. They used to be,
I used to pay. Mine was so irregular. It was like, God, just give me a sign. Let me know when it's coming.
They're coming for everything. Women's reproductive rights, LGBTQIA plus rights, and guess what? They come in. They want to bring slavery back. They want to change.
They want to reinstate slavery.
Let me tell you something. I ain't built for that, and it ain't gonna happen over here.
Now you know.
Well, I mean, I don't know how they're gonna control all these people as they try to do all that. With the whole, again, we keep saying, like Kamala said this week when it came to the Constitution, they're not just after the Constitution. They're after the amendments that are in the Constitution.
Yeah.
And she started with number 4 and what it said. It's like, you know what? It's the whole thing. We just need to make sure we cover it. But I know, Gwendolyn, you and I, girl, it would never happen. We would die first.
Man, I'm trying to tell you, like there is a target on my back. You know what I'm saying? Like my parents raised fighters. Like the Houstons are some fighters. Houstons and Jacksons, we are some fighters. So when people talk about stuff, and I know we mentioned it, we have yet to realize how much power we have. I believe there is an awakening that's happening. Ooh, all Star Wars and Jedi. There is an awakening that's happening. And when you get people to start moving and you are committed to not going back, trust me, you have two choices. You either fight for your right to be, or you just become whatever. I'm not going there. I'm just, it's not happening here. So whatever we got to do, we gonna do it. That's how that works.
And my father raised us the same way. If somebody attacks you, you don't come home crying. He told me one time, he said, don't you come home crying. He said, if they big up and knock them out and come home.
There you go.
I want to tell you all this funny story. So the neighbors next door, we had just about the same number of children, right? And one was my age. Almost every age we were in the house. We had an age one day, I don't know what happened, but we got into a brawl. We beat those children down. I had the one that was my age. The rest of them had the ones their age. The one that was my age, I pulled her hair out. And
I can't imagine Elise fighting.
Oh, I can.
Remember, I was raised by a single father.
That's right.
Kids who said, "Look, I can't be there all the time." And then the one thing he said, you cannot fight your siblings. You cannot fight each other. You want to protect each other. And I think people have to remember, just because someone may not be saying something out loud, they may be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
They may, my mother said, you have to be the quiet ones, the ones that laugh a lot. And she said, and then for me, if you see me starting to cry, unless I'm at a funeral someplace, you need to call 911. Because all it is me holding back. And if I start laughing, then we got a problem.
You were that girl.
I'm her.
I can see it. I can see it.
I'll never forget when I was in junior high
She had
school.
her Vaseline in her bag.
I'll never forget this girl named Denise.
In your head.
my one of my best friends in junior high school. Her name was Denise, and she was so quiet and so beautiful, so kind to everyone. And these two wicked sisters that were they try to beat her. They try to call her names and all this stuff. They used to call her Big Bird because she was tall. They gave her hell, and she just kept going to school, getting her grades, trying to do the best thing. And then one day they came for her. I'll never forget. I was 14 years old at Rothschild, not too far from here. And they came for her. And she said, she grabbed a bottle. All she did was she just paused and stared, and just you saw tears coming down her face, and she went and grabbed a bottle. She said, "Come on, bees, come on!" And you know the word, but she said, "Come on." She said, "Come on," and she lost it. It took 3 men teachers to hold her down. Miss Quiet Innocent. But the thing is, they came after her all the time. And she finally said, enough is enough. Man, they had to put her, literally 3 big men teachers had to tackle her down like she was playing football, and say it had to calm her down. But those 2 girls, they eventually got expelled. But they were mean as snakes. They came to school every day to bother people. 2 sisters. Shirley, I remember one of them. One of the name is Shirley. We used to call them Laverne and Shirley, but I don't know what the other one. I think the other one was called Laverne. I'll never forget them as long as I live.
They was lacking. They were lacking something. That's why they acted like that.
That's what it was.
And Denise was not having it no longer. And she laid in. She says, "Come on, bees, come on." I said,
Ron, that's how it works. I'm that one. I'm gonna sit there while you talk trash.
Well, here we go. We're going to close out with our question of the day.
Ron,
what is your favorite? Go ahead.
Real quick. People who follow Ron, whoever has posted the thing in the story with Trump on Fox, that Fox Today or whatever it was, make sure you check our stories to see what he said about education. Yes. Now you can do the question.
Okay. There you go. So my question for you all as we close out, because we try to do something fun at the end, especially on a Friday. What was your favorite Saturday cartoon? Your favorite Saturday cartoon that you could not, no one could stop you from looking at. You had to get up in the morning and share and look and go to your cartoon. Now, I have to admit, mine was Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?
The Flintstones. On
Saturday mornings.
The
Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?
Well, I remember the Munchie and Poochie. I like the monkeys. I like the monkeys. So Poochie was that cute little pink poodle. It was so adorable. And then I liked Munchie.
Oh, you know what? My other one. Oh, well, I don't remember that cartoon, Gwendolyn.
What? How you gonna ask the question and not know? I had no history together.
Tanja says the Jackson 5. I do remember. Yes, we used to look at the Jackson 5s. Yes, that was a good one. Obviously,
Roadrunner.
I used to look at Alvin and the Chipmunks.
I used to watch the Road Runner and Tom and Jerry, stuff like that.
Tom and Jerry was a
Oh,
good.
here's a good one. Shirley says Fat Albert.
Albert.
Yes.
We love
Yes.
Fat Albert. We did
Hey,
love Fat
hey.
Albert. Warren says Underdog.
Dog.
Where, oh,
Mighty Mouse was
where
another
my,
good one.
can my
Yeah, Mighty Mouse
underdog
was a good one,
be?
too.
Yeah.
I love Underdog. Underdog was mine too. Captain Caveman.
Yeah, that was a good one. Oh, we are aging ourselves here.
Captain Caveman. His girls club says She-Ra,
Yes.
He-Man,
Yes.
Looney
Looney
Tunes.
Tunes, yeah. Dark. Well, a
Oh.
lot. It's funny. A lot of this stuff actually came on during the week time,
Yeah.
too, like after school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bugs
Like
Bunny.
Saturday
Darkwing
morning.
Duck.
Yeah, Bugs
Darkwing
Bunny.
Duck was another one.
Dog. Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
Daffy Duck and Friends.
Yeah.
What was this one? What's this one? I don't know this one.
You know,
Hung-
Hung-
Hung- Hey,
Yes.
yes, I
Yes.
do remember it. Right?
Yeah.
That was that. Was that a
Hung-
bear?
Hungry.
Oh my! The Jets. Who could
Yes,
not?
the Jetsons.
The Jetson. Here's
Jetsons.
George Jetson. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Jane, his wife. No, I forgot how it goes.
Right.
Jetsons, yes, the Jetsons.
Now there was one that I liked. It was Conan.
The
Barbarian.
Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm not mistaken, the timing was, I think it was 1994 was the year in the future, like the world was all jacked up and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I used to love watching that. I mean, whenever I can catch it, like if I can find it, I watch it because it's just so ridiculous. But
Oh my
Yes.
goodness. Derek says for him, it was Spider-Man, the Jackson 5, and the Osmonds.
husband.
The Osmonds had a cartoon.
They had a card. Yeah, they did. I remember that.
Yeah.
They had a card.
Everything the Jacksons did, the Osmonds did
Osmonds
too.
did.
They had to be
Yeah.
the alternates. Fat Albert, that was one of
Hold
our
on.
favorites.
Who is it? Brian said Hanna-Barbera, period. Yeah. Anything
Yes.
Hanna-Barbera back in the day was really good.
Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah,
Right.
there we go. Hanna-Barbera.
Mm,
Hanna-Barbera.
Yes.
And what's the other ones in here? Yes, with the Scatman. Says Warren.
I don't know that one.
Scatman Crothers was Hong Kong's voice. I did not know that. Scatman Crothers was Hong Kong's voice. Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
And Anthony says, my neighbor sounds like the Jetson with all the EVs riding
I love
around.
London kitchen. We are overdue, and now Ron's like, we don't have smart kitchens like the Jetsons,
We did
Or
have,
like-
did
or
we have
like
this
in The Fifth
conversation this
Element.
week?
or in The Fifth Element. I want to be able to pour in a little pieces, throw it in that little microwave, and get a whole meal. Like I'm
Right.
waiting.
My
for
daughter said, where are the flying cars? She said she
And
hasn't
where are
seen
the
the flying cars.
We're still waiting. Well, we have them. We have them. They're just not mainstream yet.
People can't drive
Also,
on the street, so
Omar says Fantastic
Can you imagine
Four.
the size?
You guys
Yeah.
know the Fantastic Four?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
actually coming out with another
Who could
movie.
forget
Oh,
Casper?
Casper, yes.
Casper the Friendly Ghost.
And I used to love Felix the Cat. Felix the Cat, the
But
wonderful,
you go back
wonderful
and
cat.
watch Heckle and Jekyll now, you feel some kind of way.
Hold on.
Ooh.
Garfield.
Garfield was good. Garfield with those big eyes.
Now, I'm going to give you guys one you probably don't remember. G.I. Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember
G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe. But I wasn't a
Real
fan of G.I.
American
Joe.
hero.
You weren't a G.I. Joe?
No.
We liked watching that.
G.I. Joe. Oh.
Oh, the Transformers, yes. I love the Transformers too.
And
I
also,
watched-
it was
I
not a
watching a lot of
Saturday
this with my
cartoon.
kids.
It wasn't a Saturday cartoon. I loved Jim. I had a thing for fashion, so I loved watching
Jim.
Jim. But that was
Truly
not a
outrageous.
Oh, here's one. Here's one. Charlene says Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse.
Minute.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I know you all know this one. Pinky and the Brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember Pinky and the Brain? That was one of my
Animaniacs. They were
favorites.
the best.
Yes.
Well, let's go back even
What are we
further.
going to do this evening, Pinky? We're going to
Take
take
over the
over the world.
Pink Panther. Pink Panther.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Pink Panther. That was a popular one. Very
That's
popular. Archie. Oh yes. How not? How
Yes.
can we forget
I'm
the
an Archie fan.
Archies?
Josie and the Pussycats. Oh,
Josie and the Pussycats. That was the one. That was my
That was a
sister's
good
favorite.
one.
My sister
Oh.
loved Josie and the Pussycats.
Yeah.
That was a good
Oh
one.
my goodness. Oh, here's Derek says, Thor, Iron Man, the
Iron
Archer.
Man was good.
Iron Man was good, and Shazam was good back in the day.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh gosh, that was good.
Super Friends.
You guys
Super
came
Friends.
through. That was a good
Yes.
subject. You guys came through.
Now
Snorks.
you know
What's
we know it half
Snorks?
the battle.
What's
Oh, I
Snorks?
remember
Do you remember
them.
Snorks, the little thing
Yeah.
that kind of flew around? Yeah.
But I do remember the little blue people.
Smurfs.
That's the Smurfs.
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 Papa
I'm
Smurf.
kind of looking like Papa Smurf right now.
I'm looking like Papa Smurf.
That's true, Chris.
As a matter of fact, they
Very
used to call
true.
me Papa Smurf. Adrian used to call me Papa Smurf back in the day.
That
Papa
is funny.
Smurf, Papa Smurf.
Oh my God, you guys are going
hold on,
in.
Anthony.
They are
Silverhawks. I remember that one.
It's just-
Popeye. Yeah.
oh
Popeye.
gosh,
Ooh,
Space Ghost. There were a
Space
lot of
Ghost was a good one.
cartoons.
A lot of
Space
Yeah, oh, I
Ghost,
love Johnny
Quest.
Johnny,
That
I
was
know
a
I
very,
love
that
Johnny
was a
Quest too.
DEI cartoon because they had
Yeah.
people of color.
And
Yeah,
how
I
about
love
that?
You're
Johnny
right.
Quest.
And we can't forget Popeye
Popeye.
Yes.
and Olive Oil.
Thundercats. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
the
it's
Thundercats.
sad,
That's right,
though,
the
that kids
Thundercats.
don't get to watch all these things like we used to.
What are kids looking at now?
I
The
don't know.
cartoons, they got it kind of funny.
They got weird stuff, weird cartoons. I don't even know.
This is what they're watching on Saturday mornings.
Anime.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
anime.
Look at this one. Yogi Bear. We used to get that. And Quick
Oh,
Draw
yeah.
McDraw.
Quick
Hey,
Draw.
boo-boo.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Super Friends. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
used to watch those all the time.
The
too.
Super Friends was my thing. As a matter of fact, my buddy, he used to live 3 blocks over, my journalist buddy. He would say, yo, what are you doing this evening? It would be like 10 o'clock at night. He goes, I'm coming over to look at the Super Friends. And there would be a Super Friends for like 3 hours. Like he comes over. He lives 3 blocks over. When I first moved in this apartment, he used to come over and we used to look at
funny.
Super Friends.
That's so funny.
Oh
That's
my
good.
gosh.
Memories, good memories.
Oh, Tanja says, Inspector Gadget,
Gadget.
Gadget. Da-da-da-da-da.
Fraggle Rock. Oh my goodness. That was
Down the
HBO.
Fraggle
I
Rock.
still know that song too.
Oh my gosh, this was a good one. This was a
Not
good
that so much-
question.
So wait, hold on. I have a quick story before we go.
Richie
So I was
Rich,
in Cancun for work this weekend, and the comedian, his name is MC Lightfoot. I happened to be on stage recording the guys, and as I was getting off, he was like, "Oh, and say goodbye to the guy from Fraggle Rock." Meaning me.
You.
It's talking about you.
Oh my goodness.
It's hilarious.
Remember Gigantor? That's what
Yes,
Omar has.
Gigantor.
Gigantor.
And
Oh,
Speed
the
Racer.
songs. They had good songs too. They had
They had
good
great
jingles.
jingles.
Yes,
Still, I
they
don't
Yeah.
know those jingles.
They don't do
Those
jingles
songs.
anymore.
They don't do jungle.
No, they don't.
I'm like, what do kids look at now? But look at how. Oh, here's a good one. FRR says,
HR.
Richie Rich.
Richie Rich,
Yes,
yeah.
that was a good
Remember
one.
Richie Rich? That was another good. We had a whole lot of cartoons.
Mr. Magoo, everything.
Mr. Magoo. Yes, Mr. Magoo. Oh my gosh, that was a good one.
Look, I watched with
the
having children. I watched
Banana
cartoons for a long
The
time.
Banana Splits.
I
That
feel
was my
aged.
thing.
I feel aged.
I don't remember that one.
Oh, you don't remember the Banana Splits?
Yeah.
Oh, they used to dance. They used to have their songs and their music.
La.
Yes, the Banana
Yes, the
Splits.
Banana Splits.
Oh, I used to have the
Banana
puppets. I used to have all the, back then you used to get cartoon characters like puppets in some of the cereals. Anyway,
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Johnny Quest. Somebody said Johnny Quest.
this
Yeah,
is
I
Rocky and
Rocky
Bullwinkle.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
Oh, Omar, you are going way back. Omar's taking us back.
But some of those ones like Johnny Quest and all those things, they had so much information in them.
Yes.
And the way they were teaching children things with them not thinking it was learning, they had so much in there exploration. It was those things. I loved them. I watched mine when I was young, and I watched the ones with my kids. It was just amazing.
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood,
Mr.
Sesame
Rogers,
Street,
yes.
Oh yeah.
all
Now,
those
Mr.
were great.
Rogers was every day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That was during the week.
Right.
Mr. Rogers.
My
4
son
o'clock.
learned to read because of Sesame Street. He taught himself to read at the age of 3
Fractured
Wow.
because he was watching Sesame Street. When he got to pre-K, the teacher said, "What you all do to teach him to read?" I said, "We didn't. Sesame
Wow.
Street taught him to read. We didn't teach him anything."
Amazing. Here's another one. I don't know this one.
You
The
never- the
Fractured Fairy Tales.
Yes, the Fractured Fairy Tales.
I don't remember that one.
I have niece and nephews who are.
Oh, that came later on. You
and a
know,
grandbaby, and you know, if I have to watch Miss Rachel again, I swear. He's like, oh wow!
Yeah.
I was like, God damn it!
Like, I wouldn't even let my kids watch the Rugrats. I said, you cannot watch Rugrats. Angelica gonna get you in trouble.
what a great life we had.
Oh.
FRR, I agree with you.
Yes.
What a great life we had. I remember when I was a kid, I used to stay with my cousins. You know, my aunt used to pick me up, take me to Queens, and I would stay. And I was the 7 years old, 6 and 7 years old. And I remember my cousins, they were older and they would like to sleep late, but Ron wasn't having it. I would go into their rooms. It's cartoon time. And I would jump on their beds, and I was that kid.
But that explains why, like, the Cartoon Network did so well.
Yeah,
It was mostly adults. Like
Watching
Nick at
each other.
Night was older cartoons, and it turned into like the Cartoon Network, and I was here for it because I was like, oh, these are my cartoons. They were the best, the best.
Man, I need to look at some cartoons.
Peabody and
I know.
Sherman. Oh my goodness!
You get that right?
Oh.
Peabody and Sherman.
I want to torture my 16-year-old granddaughter and make her watch cartoons with me.
What was Plastic Man? Brian said.
Oh no, you can watch Plastic Man.
What was that? Stretch Armstrong?
Yeah, he stretched all the way out. And
Yeah. Okay. I remember.
Yellow unitard.
No DVR or streaming back then.
Right.
Nope.
It
was must-see TV. You had to know when it was coming on. Go sit down in front of the TV and watch it.
That's when TV
You
Guide
need
was
to
our
watch it.
friend.
With TV Guide
TV
and
Guide.
your stereo.
The
And the commercials were things like Schoolhouse Rock, so your children learn some civics.
Conjunction, junction, what's
Yep.
your
Grammar.
function?
Isn't that something? They were learning grammar. They were learning everything in there.
Our
Grammar,
cartoon
civics.
years was
You learn
great.
how a bill became a law. I mean,
That's
come
right.
on.
I'm a bill sitting on Capitol Hill. Well, I'm waiting for the Lord. Anyway.
Oh
They
yeah,
used to teach some of those.
function. What's your function?
Yeah.
Yes. Man, we needed that. Then we needed this moment.
Absolutely.
Wasn't
Yes.
this moment the best?
I think
This
it
is a
ended
good way
great.
to end.
Us talking about fighting and then ending up with this. I think it's great. Those are two great conversations.
We had some deep conversation today, and we know how to end the day. And David Mascaro says, November 5th, everyone, cartoon binge. Yeah, get everything set up for cartoons on election day. Those were the best. Omar said those were the best times.
Absolutely.
Yes, they were. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful Focus Friday. I do have I will attach to this I did set up a couple of YouTube accounts that will help you in this election, and Instagram accounts as well. So I'll put those in the description. We didn't talk about it, but we had so many other things that we talked about that was so much more worthy. But if you want to do some websites and some Instagram accounts that will bless you as you get closer towards the election, to be able to help people with their decision making, and also to keep you abreast of what's happening in the election for this year. Okay, I think that's it. Gwendolyn, where can people find you?
We are GR Houston Jack on YouTube, Black Power Bunny.
Yeah. Gwen and Elise, where can people find you?
As Elise, that's SALIEZE _on Instagram.
And
I do have a TikTok account, but I don't know what it is. But
you can start using that TikTok. And I see all the love. Everyone's giving some love. Have a great weekend, everyone. And I see all that. Yes. And so, Chris, where can people find you, my brother?
People can find me at constantly _changing the number for me on all my social medias. And then please, if living in the state of Delaware, early voting starts next Friday, October 25th.
And also, I just wanted to give my little banners up here as well. If you are looking for photographers, if you're looking for a photographer for your event, you can reach out to me. I do event photography. That's my specialty. So reach out to me for that. And also, we want to thank our Patreon members. If you want to become a Patreon member, you can become a Patreon member. That's how we support what we do here. And if you want to get your logo on this thank you sponsors, I will give you details on how to do that as well. So guys, thank you so much for joining us today. It was wonderful spending this time with you. You always bless me.
Glad this time together.
I'm so glad we had this time
Together.
together. Okay, guys, I'm out. Later.